Hello, my name is Dante Renee, and welcome to the 10 Room Bizarro YouTube page where I talk about films that I believe need to be talked about more. Like tonight's film, 1989's Pretty Peaches Part 3, ending the trilogy, directed by Mr. Alex de Renzi. This is on the Vinegar Syndrome Trilogy Blu-ray that I got here, but you can also get these on DVD through Vinegar Syndrome as well. This is from 1989. You can check out my reviews for Pretty Peaches 1 and 2. 1 was in the 70s, 2 was in the 80s, and 3 right here that we're looking at tonight is right at the tail end of the 80s, 1989, Pretty Peaches 3. There's a different girl playing Peaches in each of the films, and on the cover here you can see the girl for Part 3. 1989, let's look at Pretty Peaches 3, because I got to tell you, there are a lot of people talk about trilogies out there. Okay, there's a lot of huge trilogies out there. The people talk, say that's the best trilogy. How many times have you heard people talk about the Pretty Peaches trilogy? I think that Pretty Peaches should be talked about more, and that's why, even as a trilogy, and that's why I'm talking about it on this damn YouTube page. Pretty Peaches, obviously X-rated films, and really showing you what X-rated films could be and are, from another era. Nothing like today, from another era. Production value, storyline, wildness, twists, turns, all of the above. Alex de Renzi, who's also directed Babyface, which I reviewed in this YouTube page. Wild, boundaryless director. Let's get into Pretty Peaches 3. I have some notes here, so you might see my eyes divert. But we have basically Peaches. We go from a trailer park on to a spiritual adventure. Yes, you just heard me right, folks. From a trailer park to a spiritual adventure. Dream inspiration, preachers, helicopters, lesbian prayers, lesbian doctor named Thunder Pussy, a male blow-up doll, rectal exams, genital preachers, a pimp like in the movie Rat Boy. Rat Boy? Oh, I'll be looking at in the future on this YouTube page, don't worry. A homeless gang. The mother from Pretty Peaches Part 2. Inspiration, hypocrisy, seizing life, green demon smoke puppetry. Holy friggin' crap. Did you hear everything I just said? Yes. Let's look at 1989's Pretty Peaches Part 3, the end of the trilogy. The trilogy. Yes, this is my trilogy here. Let's start off with the music. Let's start off with the music for Pretty Peaches Part 3. We have beautiful emotional piano. We also have new age sounding music. We also have jovial late 80s synth-like music that reminded me of Basket Case 2's score. We also have exotic meditative massage music. Lots of bass lines in this movie. And at the same time, also a lot of silence. There's even a bit of dark, weird horror vibes in the music, which was pretty shocking. Now, this is a film that has softcore, late 80s, early 90s comedy, like sex comedy vibes. It really, really does. Pretty Peaches 3, it's 1989, but you're getting the feel of the 80s, but you're also definitely getting a feel of the 90s as well. And you got that softcore sex comedy vibe running through this film. For most of the film, I would say. There's lots of dialogue, there's lots of story, lots of character development. There are surreal dream sequences, there's adventure, there's this wild helicopter smoke light sequence, which is just pretty wild. This wild orgy sequence in here. There's lighting of like between light and dark. Mom and younger boy taboo. in this film. Tossing salads, fingering buttholes, hard and soft sex scenes in this film. Yes, hard and soft, which is very, very interesting to have those two things together, hard and soft. We have a workout scene in this film. We have sexual tension. We have wild type of oral sequences, not as insane sexually as part 2, but still pretty wild in the sex sequences. It's almost like an X-rated USA Up All Night. Does anybody out there remember USA Up All Night? I mentioned that a lot on this YouTube page, but you look it up on YouTube. Look it up on YouTube. USA Up All Night, which was one of the biggest influences of my childhood. Probably affected me a lot. And they showed trash, I say that in the positive sense, sexploitation and horror. It really feels like an X-rated USA Up All Night film, definitely. And there's a lot of sexual tension in this movie as well, folks. And there's a lot of interesting twists and turns in Pretty Peaches 3 that you're not expecting at all. Even in terms of the sex scenes and the way the sex scenes are done, and also in the storyline. This is a major adventure. I mean, when's the last time you saw an X-rated film dealing with a spiritual awakening? And well, let's get into that a little bit. There are some themes in this film. There's definitely some wild themes. Hypocrisy is definitely a theme in the film. Introspective enlightenment, becoming enlightened is definitely a theme. Sex and spirituality, and how the two connect and how the two meet. Religion, definitely a theme in the film. And spiritual abuse is another theme in this film. There's some very weighty themes in Pretty Peaches 3. It's comical, it's outlandish, it's John Waters-esque at times, X-rated John Waters in a way. But then it's also exploitation, crime a little bit, some just flat out weirdness and love and adventure. It's wild. And I got to tell you, the ending of Pretty Peaches 3 is an unexpected ending for an X-rated film. That's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to say anything else about that, but it's a very unexpected ending for an X-rated film. We have some very weighty themes in this film. I got to tell you, I don't think I've seen themes this crazy before, or this deep before, so far, in an X-rated film. Really, really interesting stuff going on in Pretty Peaches 3. And the great thing about this trilogy on here is that each one really is very different than the next. They're each their own cinematic adventure and journey and experience, definitely. These are wild, wild-ass X-rated films. Pretty Peaches 3 is no exception. It's a great deal of style in this film. It's erotic. It's sexy, wild. It's shocking. Some of the sex might just completely repulse you or shock you, possibly. Some of the scenes, there are some laugh-out-loud types of comedy in this film, but at the same time, there's also a bit of seriousness in this movie as well. So Pretty Peaches 3, here it is, folks. Wow, rounding up the trilogy, 1989, Alex de Renzi's Pretty Peaches 3. Thank you so much for watching the 10 Room Bizarre YouTube page, where I talk about films that I believe need to be talked about more, like 1989's Pretty Peaches 3. Please feel free to check out all my other reviews in this YouTube page of films that I think need to be talked about more. Jess Franco, Joe Sarno, and sexploitation, exploitation, adult, underground, horror, weird, bizarre, whatever. Heck, there's even a couple PG-13 films on this YouTube page, like The Night Before with Keanu Reeves and Lori Loughlin. Huh, definitely. And Rat Boy will be coming in the future as well, since I just name-dropped that on here. But please feel free to also check out my own personal films at youtube.com/poopydiarrhea. Thank you, and good night.